The evening sun was sinking behind the maple trees when Ethan turned onto the narrow path behind his house. He had taken this same walk hundreds of times, mostly to clear his head after long days at work, never expecting anything unusual. But today, someone was standing there, waiting. It was Claire, his neighbor, the woman who had moved in just 3 months ago. The woman with the soft voice, warm smile, and eyes that always seemed to hold something unspoken. She lived 2 houses down, always polite, always kind, but distant in a way that made Ethan wonder what she kept locked inside her heart. Tonight, she wasn't distant. She was standing directly in the middle of the path, as if she had been there for a while. Her hair lifted slightly in the breeze, and her hands were clasped tightly in front of her, almost trembling. Ethan slowed his steps. Something in her face, something fragile and unsure, made his chest tighten. "Claire, is everything okay?" he asked. She didn't answer right away. Instead, she looked at him with an expression he couldn't read. It wasn't fear. It wasn't sadness. It was something deeper, something that made his breath catch. When she finally spoke, her voice wavered. "I've been waiting for you, Ethan." His heart thudded once hard. Claire never sounded like this. She was usually calm, steady, always keeping her emotions tucked away. Now, she seemed like she was standing on the edge of something she wasn't sure she should say. "Waiting for me? Why?" he asked gently. But again, she hesitated. She took a small step closer, then another, until she stood so near he could see the faint freckles across her cheeks and the worry in her eyes. "I didn't know if I should tell you this," she whispered. "But I can't keep pretending nothing is happening." Ethan felt his pulse quicken, though he didn't know why. Claire wasn't just his neighbor. Somehow, in these few months, she had become the presence he looked for when he stepped outside. The person he hoped to run into. The face he thought about more than he should. "What's going on?" he asked. Claire looked down at her hands, then lifted her eyes back to his. "I didn't come here to make things complicated," she said softly. "I know there's an age difference. I know we barely know each other. But I feel something when I'm around you. Something I haven't felt in a long time." Ethan froze, because he felt it too. The first time he had seen Claire, standing in her driveway with a box of books in her arms, he had felt a strange pull toward her. He had tried to ignore it. She was quiet, private, and clearly dealing with something in her life she wasn't ready to talk about. He didn't want to intrude. He didn't want to hope for anything. But now, she was saying the words he never expected to hear. Before he could respond, Claire took a shaky breath. "I'm scared," she admitted. "But when I saw you earlier today, when you smiled at me, it felt like something inside me woke up, and I didn't want to run from it anymore." The path was quiet. The breeze was gentle, and Ethan felt like the world had narrowed to just the two of them. "Claire," he said quietly, "you don't have to be scared." Her eyes glistened in the fading light. "That's the thing," she whispered. "I think I'm terrified because I want you to know what's in my heart." Ethan stepped closer, close enough that he could see her breath tremble. "What is it you want me to know?" he asked. She looked up at him, vulnerable, hopeful, unsure. Her lips parted slowly, and the words she spoke changed everything. "Ethan, I think I'm falling for you." For a moment, Ethan forgot how to breathe. Claire's confession hung in the quiet air between them, fragile yet powerful, like a truth she had been holding back for far too long. He had imagined this moment before, only in the secret corners of his mind, but never once believed it would happen. "Claire," he began, but she shook her head quickly. "You don't have to say anything," she said softly. "I shouldn't have put this on you. I know I'm older. I know my life is complicated. I just couldn't keep it inside anymore." Her voice tightened on the last words, and Ethan could see the fear behind her eyes, the fear of being rejected, of being misunderstood, of hoping for something she didn't think she deserved. He took a careful step closer. "You didn't put anything on me," he said gently. "You told me the truth, and that matters." She swallowed hard, looking down, her fingers curling into her palms. "I'm not looking for something temporary, Ethan. I can't. Not after everything I've been through." He wanted to ask what she meant, but her trembling shoulders stopped him. This wasn't the moment for questions. It was the moment for honesty, his honesty. "Claire," he said quietly, "I feel something too." Her head snapped up, her eyes widening, hope flickering to life. "I tried to stay away," he admitted. "Not because I didn't want you, but because I didn't want to make your life harder. You've been carrying something heavy since the day you moved in. Anyone could see it." A soft breath escaped her lips, almost a silent thank you for noticing. "But every time I saw you," he continued, "every time you smiled at me, it felt like you were pulling me in without even trying." Claire's eyes shimmered, and she tried to steady her breathing. "I don't want to hurt you," she whispered. "That's my biggest fear." "You're not hurting me," he replied. "You're just being real." She took in his words as if she didn't quite trust them, as if she had been told the opposite too many times before. When she finally spoke again, her voice was barely audible. "I didn't think anyone would look at me that way again," she said. "Not after my marriage ended. Not after everything fell apart." Ethan's chest tightened. She had never mentioned a divorce. Not directly. But he had sensed it, sensed the quiet exhaustion, the guarded eyes, the way she always looked like she was rebuilding herself piece by piece. "Claire," he said softly, "you don't have to explain anything right now." But she shook her head. "No, you deserve to know. My ex-husband, he was charming in the beginning. Careful, gentle. Then everything changed. And when it ended, I promised myself I would never fall for someone again. Especially someone younger who could break my heart without even trying." A single tear slipped down her cheek. She brushed it away quickly, embarrassed. Ethan reached out, gently touching her hand. Not pulling, not holding, just letting her feel the warmth of his skin, the steadiness of his presence. "I'm not him," he said, "and I'm not going anywhere." Her breath trembled as she looked at their hands, the quiet contact that said more than any promise. But the moment didn't stay peaceful. A sudden rustle came from the trees behind them. Claire stiffened instantly. Her eyes darted toward the sound, fear flashing across her face, so sharp it chilled Ethan's blood. "Claire," he said carefully. "What is it?" She stepped back, her breathing uneven, her voice barely a whisper. "He shouldn't be here. I didn't think he'd come this far." "Who?" Ethan asked, his worry rising fast. Claire looked at him with a terror he had never seen in her before. "My ex-husband," she whispered. "He followed me when I moved here, and I think he's been watching us." Ethan's heart pounded as Claire's words settled into the air like a cold shadow. Her ex-husband. Watching. Following. The fear in her eyes wasn't imagined. This was something she had been living with alone. Something she had tried to escape. Ethan instinctively stepped in front of her, his body tense, scanning the tree line. The rustling had stopped, replaced by an eerie stillness that made the evening feel heavier. "Claire," he said firmly, "you're safe with me." She clutched his arm, her voice trembling. "I didn't want to tell you. I didn't want to drag you into this." "You're not dragging me into anything," he said. "You're not alone anymore." A faint snap of a twig echoed through the woods. Claire flinched. Ethan's jaw tightened. He didn't move, didn't speak, waiting for the sound to come again. But nothing did. Instead, the silence stretched on until he finally turned toward her, lifting her chin gently so she would look at him. "Has he hurt you?" Ethan asked. Claire hesitated before giving the smallest nod. "Not since the divorce. But before, he controlled everything. Who I spoke to, where I went. And when I left him, he said he would never let me go. I moved states, Ethan. I changed everything. I thought I was free. And now you think he's here," he said. She nodded again. "I saw someone near my backyard 2 nights ago. I convinced myself it was nothing. But today, when I walked past your house, I saw him. Just for a second. And then he disappeared into the trees." Ethan placed his hands gently on her shoulders. "You should have told me. I didn't want you to see me as a problem," she whispered. "I didn't want you to step back." "I'm not stepping back," he said. "Not now. Not ever." Something inside her broke, not in a painful way, but in a way that released the months of fear and pressure she had been holding. Her shoulders finally relaxed, and a quiet sob slipped out before she covered her mouth, embarrassed. Ethan pulled her into his arms, holding her close as the last of the sunlight faded. She fit against him as if she had been aching for this touch, this protection, this moment where she didn't have to be strong by herself. After a long silence, Claire lifted her head slightly. "What do we do?" she whispered. "We go to the police," Ethan said. "We make a report. We tell them everything." She hesitated. "He's smart. He hides. He knows how to make it look like I'm imagining things." "Then we still report it," Ethan said firmly. "And until they handle it, you stay with me." Claire looked up at him, startled. "Stay with you?" "Yes," he said. "My house is safer. You won't be alone. And I'll be right there." A tear slid down her cheek, but this time it wasn't from fear. It was from relief, from trust, from the dawning realization that someone was finally willing to stand for her. "Ethan," she whispered, "why are you doing all this for me?" He cupped her face gently, brushing his thumb across her cheek. "Because I care about you more than I've cared about anyone in a long time. Because you deserve to feel safe. And because I'm falling for you too." Her breath caught, her eyes softened, and slowly, as if she was afraid she might break the moment by moving too fast, she leaned closer. Ethan met her halfway, and their lips brushed, soft, warm, trembling with everything unsaid. It wasn't a desperate kiss. It was gentle, full of the emotions they had both been holding back. When they finally pulled apart, Claire rested her forehead against his. "I don't know what will happen next," she said quietly. "Ido," Ethan replied. "Whatever comes, we face it together." A breeze drifted through the trees, calm now, as if the forest itself understood that something had shifted. Hand in hand, they walked back toward the neighborhood, two hearts finding courage in each other, two lives intertwining in a way neither had expected. Behind them, the path was empty. No footsteps, no shadows. But Ethan glanced back one last time, silently promising that anyone who came for Claire would have to go through him first. And for the first time in a long time, Claire felt hope.